I can see 44 students have joined the session today. And also, I would like to welcome Dr. Adira Gunathilaka. He also will be assisting me in making this presentation to you all. This is actually a seminar, okay? Idea of this seminar is to tell you some ideas or some tips about this course, okay? Engineering Research Project, ERP. This has number of components, a number of events. So each student has to either make a submission or make a presentation based on the requirement. You all will have to do a lot of work. I think at the last lecture, I think Professor Pallavat, along with the staff members, had a session to finalize your project proposals. So at that time also, different academics gave you all a lot of tips in achieving this course, in passing this course, that is engineering research project. I must tell you at the beginning, this is a huge task, particularly if you don't plan your. But if you are up to date and if you are regular in doing your things, right, then of course this is not a huge task. So I think, first of all, I would like to come to some understanding about the current status. Okay, you all know that your project proposal was due on 2nd June. Okay, your project proposal was due on 2nd June, and we expected you to finalize the proposal with the supervisor by 6th of June. And I would like you to, I want to stress one point. Your next hurdle or next target is your progress report 1, right? And then progress presentation, right? Progress report is due by 8th of August of this year. And your progress presentation will be held on 15th of August. So actually, you can, if you work out the details, you only have about a month and a week to prepare your progress report 1. Just imagine, that is because we expected you all to submit your proposal by 6th of June. But I'm sure very few people were ready by that time. So instead of 2 months, now you have only 1 month and a week, right? Then the second progress report and the progress presentation will be held on October 31st and November 7th, right? So each and every stage, you will have to do some work, right? So let us see what we can do, or what are we expected to do by August 8th. At the time you submit your report, what are the items which should contain in this report? Okay, you have to have a cover page, right, giving the project title, the supervisor, your name, your registration number, things like that. I think basically that's all. The cover page should contain all that, and then you have to give your first progress report. So as the word implies, there should be some progress, right? So now these days, I think I feel lot of students are meeting their supervisor, right? Why are they meeting? Because your initial project proposal is very rough, very approximate. It's not a finalized document. So you have to keep on updating, improving your progress report. You have to send it to your supervisor. Okay. And they will give various comments, and then based on that you can improve. And also you can ask for a time for you to come and speak to them individually. In addition to that, you get comments. At least try to get an appointment with the supervisor for at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Now, of course, since you are around the corner, you are almost at the due date for project report 1, that is August 8th. You can meet at least 2 or 3 times with supervisor and finalize your objectives, right? Aim and objectives, right? I think a lot of people make a mistake when they write aim and objectives. Aim is the broader thing you finally achieve, right? Can you achieve anything with one step? You can't, right? Aim is your main broader thing, right? So, for example, if you want to say something is suitable, you can say under the aim to investigate the feasibility of using something. In order to check the feasibility, you have to go through a number of steps. Objective 1, objective 2, objective 3. Each objective, you are writing something which is helpful for you to achieve the aim. And when you are writing these objectives, don't write to conduct a test like that. You conduct a test to find out something. You need to write that to determine the compressive strength of cement blocks made with the partial replacement of cement with rice scratch or something. I just gave you an example. So in that example, the objective is that you don't say to conduct a test, to conduct a questionnaire survey. No. Why are you doing that? That specific purpose has to be written. The collection of these objectives will lead to your final aim. So aim is the broader thing. In this next progress review presentation, you will have to finalize this thing, I would say 80%. Right, okay? By the time you come for the second progress review, and then you at that time also, you might have to streamline objectives, because you are starting your experiments in the progress report 1. You are identifying your objectives, and for the progress report 2, you are continuing your experiments and everything. So while you are doing it, you will realize that your objectives slightly has to be changed. So you are allowed to do it, okay? But not a huge change. You are not allowed to change huge change. But at this stage, the progress report 1, you have some flexibility, you have some permission to change your objectives in a broad way. Right? But once you submit your progress report 1, those objectives cannot change a lot when you are submitting the progress report 2. Right? That means there is something wrong with the thing. So what I want to tell you in addition is, in order to achieve your objectives or aim, you simply can't do it. You have to read a lot of literature. You can use Google Scholar, ISL journals, ICTAR journals, foreign journals, different journals. You will go through and read. You are at the end of the literature review, because I forgot to tell you in this one broader thing that you have to do is to finalize your aim and objectives. No? You can't achieve it without doing a comprehensive literature review, right? That is a very important thing. Comprehensive literature review means at the end of the thing, you become an expert in the relevant knowledge. Okay? Say if you are doing, say, construction industry delays, you by that time you have read a lot of articles about the construction industry delays, construction industry issues, all that you have read a lot. Then now you have you know exactly what you want to do in your research. So once you when you know that what you are going to do it, you have to go in stages. Those are the objectives. So the comprehensive literature will help you to get a knowledge about the subject area. Okay, and current studies done in that area, current themes in that area. What else? Knowledge gap. Knowledge gap. So when you read through these articles, you will realize, okay, a lot of studies have been done, but nobody has covered this area. So I should cover this area. Okay. Literature review not only will make you get a good knowledge about the subject area, current themes, current studies done in that area, and also it will help you to find out the missing knowledge, areas that has not been investigated yet. That once you are convinced that there is an area, you can start writing your aim and thereafter the objective. Those are the things that you have to do in your progress report 1. But if you are confident, if you are very competent, you can progress even further, right? You don't have to stop at literature review objectives. After doing a comprehensive literature review and you finalize your aim and objective, if you have time, you can go for experimental program or based on the area, some kind of analysis, some kind of conducting a questionnaire survey, various experimental structural analysis part, questionnaire survey. It could be anything. Another very important thing is from the literature, you should be able to finalize your methodology. Even the methodology in different literature, they have explained the methods that had been adopted in those studies. So in literature review, you can say, in this study, this has been done in this way. They have used this methodology, so I am going to use this methodology. Right? That's another very important thing. Second thing is another aspect I want to tell you is university has given some guidelines which you can use when you are writing your reports, right? How to write tables, how to write figures. If you are introducing a table, or if you are going to have a table, say table 3.1, say something, in your literature, in your explanation, or in your body of text, you have to say, this calculation has been done, or this has been worked out, and results are presented in table 3.1. Then you can introduce the table, you can then present your table. The table needs an introduction. You can't just, I experienced last time, a lot of people have just suddenly introduced tables without giving an explanation to the table or without making any reference to the table in your literature review. Same applies to figures also. If you are going to have a figure, you have to talk about that figure in your body of text and introduce your figure and then present your figure. Those are the small things I would like to share with you. And also, when you are taking literature, when you are referring literature or when you are making citations, using your literature, you have to introduce your citation in a particular way, right? There are the number of ways. One common way is Harvard reference system, but you don't have to only use that. There are other methods also. American Psychological Association, they also have given an indexing system. So using any of those methods, you can use citation. Say somebody says, Sri Lankan construction industry is undergoing a recession. There is a drop in output of about 10%. You can't simply write it. You have to say if it was done by Pereira, you can say Pereira 2018. Then we know one scientist or a researcher called Pereira has published a paper, and he has mentioned that construction industry, there is a decline. There is a value of total construction is 10%. So you can't just simply put it without giving the citation for each and every statement you are making. If there are more than one author is involved, you have to write it in a particular way. If it is more than 2, 3, or 4, there's another way of doing it. So that is how the things would progress. So in the first progress report itself, if you can correct all these things, your life will be very easy when you come to the progress report 2 stage. Okay. Remember, it is the progress 1 report which evolves into progress report 2, and it is that which will evolve into final draft proposal which you are submitting to your to the department through your supervisor, I think end of December somewhere. Then that report finally will be examined, and then you will have to finally, with the comments of the examiners, you will be submitting your final report, which the department is going to keep a copy of it. Since Dr. Nadira also has been supervising quite a lot of researchers and quite experienced in this area, so I would like to invite Dr. Nadira also to give you valuable tips for you all to do a very good job. Over to you, Dr. Nadira Gunathilaga.
Thank you, Professor Dolage. I think, as Professor Dolage highlighted, I think you have to put a lot of effort relevant to this research study. Otherwise, actually, last time also, I think, as Professor Dolage also highlighted, we observed that some under quality work, because if you put a lot of effort from the beginning, then you may have enough time to do a lot of things. And I think again, when you are presenting the things, you have to compile it in a correct way. Otherwise, maybe the examiners may raise a lot of questions, especially it will be disadvantage for you to get a higher grading. Therefore, please be careful about those aspects. I think Professor clearly mentioned about the arrangement of your work. First, actually, you have to carry out a very good literature review. Then you know what is the area that you are going to study in your the research gap can be clearly identified. If you carry out a good research literature review, then the research gap can be clearly identified. Otherwise, now maybe you may go here and there, and it will not be a good project. And ultimately, you may get a lower grading in the final examination as well. Therefore, to aim or develop your aims and objective, as Professor said, now at this stage, maybe you may have developed your aims and objective in a very broader way, because now, up to now, I think you have not gone that much into the literature. But now you have time. Now you have to go through about a lot of literature relevant to your work or your study, and based on that, maybe you can develop your objectives and aim. But again, I think you have to discuss with your supervisor. That is again very important. I think there should be a very good dialogue between you and your supervisor. Otherwise, actually, you may not be able to come up with a good report and good project. That is very important, because now because maybe the supervisor may also have some different perspective about your work. He may guide you because now there are a lot of technical terms or technical matters are involved in this type of research project. There are different areas that you have to think when you are carrying out this type of work. Now, therefore, actually, the supervisor's impression is very much important. I think last time also, I think we maintained I think learning log in LMS, but I can remember I think this year also we are maintaining it in LMS, I believe. Professor? Yeah, I believe it will be informed to you by Professor Durage and Professor Praldevatta maybe in the later. Professor Durage?
Yeah, in a more stricter way. It was implemented in a certain way last year.
Yeah.
But this time we'll provide guidelines and your supervisory meetings will be monitored this time.
Yeah, that's very important. That's what I also highlighted. Now, I think the LMS also last time also we started this, but maybe as Professor said, maybe in the last year since that was the first time that we conduct this research in, I think, in this individual manner. Therefore, we were not strictly adhere to those certain guidelines. But I think this year we are planning to adhere those guidelines in a strict way, I believe, Professor, no?
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Therefore, actually, you have to now, even from this point, I think you have to note down all the dates that you meet with your supervisors and the briefing that you have done to your supervisor. Then actually you have a good report. Now that may be useful for you as well, because now maybe when you are discussing with your supervisor in a later stage, now you know that what are the points that he has highlighted as the initial points. Or maybe actually you can maybe again you can show that no, okay, so now we discussed about these things and now that is why I have plan this in this way or something like that. It will be advantage for you as well. Therefore, please try to maintain a logbook with you. Maybe at the beginning, I think Professor Prabhat also highlighted in the last meeting, as far as I can remember, to maintain a book at this point. Now, even you have this LMS, what you call learning log portal, but still you can maintain a book and maybe the same thing can be uploaded to that LMS learning log as well. Now, that is very important. That continuous interaction with the supervisor is very important because otherwise the quality of your work may be questionable. Finally, actually, you may even get a fail mark for the entire project. I think Professor Paldevath last time also highlighted now here. Now this is a 8 credit project. Therefore, actually, you have to put a lot of effort to the project. Otherwise, actually, you may not be able to pass the project. We strictly adhere to certain guidelines, and therefore, please be careful about those things and again about the quality. Now, as Professor said, now you have when you are searching for literature, maybe you have to go for standard papers because maybe there are substandard papers also published by certain predatory journals. I think you know what is called journal because there are so many journals are there now, especially if you think about this ISL journal. Locally, we are having this ISL journal, NSF journal, and there are some other journals also. Now, you have to think about the quality of the journal also because in certain Indian journals and those things, maybe there are some what we call research findings. Maybe there are we may have some question. Therefore, once you take up literature, maybe with the summary of those literature, maybe you can discuss with that with your supervisor as well. Then actually you can fine tune your aims and objectives and methodology maybe, and all these things can be streamlined by discussing with your supervisor. Maybe you can initially actually you can collect the literature by yourself, and maybe you can discuss those literature with your supervisor as well. Maybe with a summary because now maybe the supervisor may not be able to go through all this literature by himself, but you may summarize it. Then as required, maybe you can discuss certain points and finalize the matters. That is very important. Those are the things that I want to highlight. I think other thing is, I think when you are referring or when you are making citation of a paper, I think Harvard style is the style we are using, I believe, of course, isn't it? Or are we allowing to use other styles also in the report?
Yes, we are not very strict on that, but when it is when you have Harvard referencing, it's good to stick to that. But if you are But generally, that is the method that we are encouraging for students to use.
Yeah, okay, yeah, yes. Because I think last time it was published in the I think message that was shared in the LMS also. You have to use this Harvard style, as Professor said. Maybe you can use different some other formats also, but I think you have to be uniform. I think in the last time we observed that some students now they have used one style in the beginning, but maybe when you go to the last part of your project report, maybe you may have used another different what you call format. That is again issue that we have found. And again, I think when you are submitting your draft report to supervisor, now you have to submit it by giving a certain uh, considerable time for your supervisor. Otherwise, he may not be able to go through your report. Then your report may be substandard. Now, that is again, I think, the problem that we have encountered in last year. So sometimes the students submitted their report in the last moment. Then supervisor may not be able to go through your report and give a good comments. Finally, actually, it will be effect to you because now finally the report that you have to submit it to the examiner. Then examiner may give a lot of comments, and examiner again be because he may have to put a lot of effort to correct all these literature and grammar and all these things, and again it will be a tedious work for him. Therefore, actually, you have to submit your report early to your supervisor for a review. Then he may go through the report and he may give a lot of comments, and accordingly you can revise your report before submission to the examiners. Then it will be a good report when you are submitting your report to the examiner. Then examiner also, because he is also happy, because then you have he may get a good quality report, and actually he can go very easy through your report and he can give a good mark for your one. That is, I think, again a point that I want to highlight, Professor.
Okay.
I think those are the things I hope to highlight, Professor. Do we have to any other things?
Thank you, Dr.
Yeah.
Adira. I think he very important tips were explained by Dr. Adira. I want to reinforce a few things. This time, we are going to request you to come in person and make your presentation. You all may have heard something called soft skills, right? People complain that our OUSL students are poor in soft skills. One of the important soft skill is going before an audience and make a presentation. So, which we want to achieve through this subject or course, that is Indian Research Project, by making students to make two presentations: progress review, progress report, presentation based on progress review 1, presentation based on progress review 2. So according to the activity diary, 2 days have been identified for each presentation of each progress seminar. So you all will have to prepare your presentation slides and practice and come. That's very important. Slide has to be very neat, clear, right? And then you should have practiced and present a clean presentation. That's another thing I want to write. Other thing is, when you are dealing with supervisors, we know supervisors, they have to set question papers, mark question papers, and have to supervise about 5 or more students. So they are busy. So when you send an email, when you are not getting a response from the supervisor, you can send a gentle reminder, and then somehow get the appointments which you require. You at least you need to take about fortnightly. That means in 2 weeks' time, get an appointment. And as Dr. Nadir also mentioned, you can keep a small exercise book when you come to meet him. Whatever the important comments he gives, write down in that. So at any moment when examiners or whoever complains that you have not met your supervisor, you can present this book, that you are maintaining a book of this nature. And another thing I want to do under methodology, I have observed people have used various tests without giving a justification why they have used such particular test. So in your methodology, you need to give a justification for methodology. I mean, there are various methods, but why you adopted this method, why you adopted this test. That has to be written properly. And another important thing is attendance at this kind of meeting is compulsory. Today, we are going to keep a record of the students who attended this meeting, right? We are going to maintain a record to see to what extent students have shown interest in this course. So even in future, if there are any lecture to guide you, some workshops, please attend that because those will be considered as compulsory. Those are the things which I want to add. Dr. Nadira, can we ask the students to raise questions if they have any?
Yeah, I think that is good, because now this should be a two-way communication. I believe. We hope actually you may have so many questions because now this is a different now. Maybe you may have studied a lot of courses up to now, but this is a completely different scenario because you have to work now. You have to come up with your work. You have to prepare a report. You have to develop methodology, objectives. Now, actually, you have to do a lot of part from your side. Therefore, maybe we are expecting a lot of questions from your side. Actually, we can give any answers for any questions that you are making at this point.
Correct.
Anyone, do you have any questions?
56 people, 54 people are participating.
Yeah.
We can take a few questions from you.
Yeah, we can take few questions.
Right. So, Dr. Nadira, we have presented well, I suppose. No questions.
Yes. Now, I think one point that I want to highlight. I think at this moment, I think all of you have finalized your supervisors and topics. I believe, Professor. No, it's
Yeah.
I think as Professor Pallevat's observations, I believe now they all are finalized. I believe, no.
No, finalized in the sense it's like this. They submitted the project proposal. We have we have assigned supervisors.
Yeah.
But I don't think many people have visited the supervisor and discussed the matter.
Yeah, that's right. But
I would say
from
maybe
our side,
10% of students may have done it, but not the others.
yeah, from our side, I think we have almost finalized, no, all the assignment of the now. Previously, we had some.
They are finalized.
Yeah. I think now all of you are having supervisors, I believe.
Now you have to meet him and say, Mega, how do you think, and like that we have to discuss. That part I don't think many people have done yet. That is a must, right? So I would say by next week, okay, this Friday, within next week you need to finalize and start reading on it. Okay, and come back on meet and fine tune your aim objectives continuously until you submit your progress report. And I must tell you this time, this will be implemented in the most serious way. Because the last time we had a number of disturbance. No? One student has on the chat has asked, so how many slides we should add in the progress presentation? That all depends on how many minutes that you are going to allocate, right? So I would say we would allocate about 10 to 12 minutes to you all. We will finalize it and let you know. So I would say about maximum of about 12 slides. Think about it, at least use about.
Yeah, I think that may depend on the content of slide. Maybe if you are having a lot of pictures, maybe your number of slides may be high. But as Professor said, normally I think should be in the range of 12 to 15. But if you want to show some pictures and those things, maybe you can add some slides. Maybe because those slides may not take that much of time. I will, Doctor, right, Professor.
Assuming that you need to explain one slide on average about a minute, I thought maybe 12 minutes or so. I thought. But anyway, we will give such information to you through your LMS. One student has said, sir, I didn't see much justification about testing methodology part in researchers, which I read. Could you please explain it? Now, why you supposing somebody is doing a water absorption test? I'll give you an example. Then you have to write somewhere why this water absorption is significant in your study. Why it is so important. then only you have to do the test. I think I answered it, that question. He is asking why in other articles, but I'm surprised in other articles also, they're explaining why in this particular research, testing it for water absorption is also very important. Then that is why you also should do it. Something like that I want to mention.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually, I think as per your scope, you have to plan your test and all these things. I think in certain projects that we observed last year, now maybe some of the students they have done some research. Maybe they are not really not necessary for your objective. Therefore, actually, when you are planning to carry out a test, it's better to discuss with your supervisor also based on your literature and all these things. You can plan that, but fine. But maybe in certain cases, maybe actually some set tests are not really needed because now you are aiming for a certain objective. Now there are so many tests and there are some limitations in the lab facilities also. Now you have to think about all these aspects and accordingly you have to plan, I believe, the testing process. No.
That's right. Because now the student says in other studies, he didn't see much justification is given for this. Definitely, the justification needed to be given because there are so many tests. But the researcher is only doing few tests. So why only those tests? So you have to give some justification for those tests. Why you are doing this test? It's obvious. I think you need to automatically it comes through your literature review, and you have to display your subject knowledge through your literature review. Knowledge gap is one thing. Your knowledge about the subject has to be presented in the literature review, right? And it has to be a literature review. I have seen some students are listing this author study one, give the details about the study, and this is what he has found out. Dr. Nadir, I am not sure whether you also came across such reports.
Yeah.
Study one, study two, study three. I mean, he has selected some research articles and article one, article two, summary. You have given a summary. That is not what we want. We want a review. This study has been done under this setup. They have done this, but these are the outcome, but it's not exactly matching with the other ones. So likewise, some kind of a argument has to be there.
Yeah, maybe actually you can compare some of these research work because now maybe they may have used different setup for the testing. Now again, then their results may also be very different. Now those things has to be discussed within your literature because now accordingly maybe you have to carry out a very different test. Maybe that is again another aspect. Now you have to think all those aspects when you are developing literature review. I believe that is what I think Professor also highlighted.
Yes, that one. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Dr. Adila. One student is asking, can you arrange workshop same like this? How to do referencing correctly, sir? I think it's a good suggestion. I will discuss with Professor Pallavath and have another brief session to explain how to do the referencing.
Yeah, I think that is maybe good. So I think that will be very useful for all students. Yeah.
Correct. We will do it, and because this time we are going to be very serious. So because of that, we will try our best to have a workshop like this before that. I think unless you have any more questions, we can wind up the session.
Before that, sir, I want to highlight one thing. I now, especially if you are planning about the physical testing, now you have to think about all the time. Now, maybe for example, now if you are thinking about tube testing or something, then actually you need considerable time. Now, maybe for a certain test, you need 28 days. Maybe you need 56 days. Now, accordingly, you have to think about the casting dates and all these things. I think last year we found this difficulty because now even when you come for the second progress review, some of the students they have not completed some testing. Now then maybe in the last time you have to do a lot of testing, you have to produce a lot of samples. Now those problems may come into picture. Therefore, please think about your time frame also. Now that may be a critical factor because otherwise you may not be able to complete your work because now you have already defined your objectives. Maybe you have defined your aims. Now maybe for certain testing. Now maybe you may have to go for some other institution also. Now please think about the time frame also. That is very critical, especially if you are using material projects because material projects you have to carry out certain testing and those testing. Now there are some defined dates now, especially for concreting or something. Now, normally we do our testing on 28 days or 56 days. Now, 56 days means a considerable time now for a certain projects. Now, maybe you may have to carry out the testing in 56 days. Now, then the date of casting is a very important aspect. Now, that is again that I want to highlight. Maybe for some other project that may not be applicable, but especially for this type of casting of alternative material or something like that, then you have to think about that casting procedure and dates of testing also.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Ajit. That was very valuable suggestion. Okay, then, since there aren't any more questions, we can wind up the session. Thank you for your participation. We expect the full capacity participation in our next workshop. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, friend, for the participation. And as Professor said, now please start your work from now, because now you have very limited time. Please think about that and always be in touch with your supervisors. That's my advice. Thank you.
Thank you for that last minute. Again, the emphasis on the how seriously you should take this study. Okay, then. Thank you, and I wish you all the best.